Hey everyone, my name is Bo Sanders. I wanted to throw out some ideas about being fully human today. I've been thinking a lot about this topic because as we went through the Christmas season this past year, I was very aware of what makes Christmas so special, which is Emmanuel, that God is with us. And in the Gospel of John, it says that the Logos, the Word, was made flesh, took on flesh, and dwelt among us. And how special that is, and actually how unique it is among world religions. You know, it really sets Christianity apart, and it allows us as Christians to proclaim something quite unique, and I would say particular, about this person in Jesus. But as I listened to other people and read various things that were posted, I grew quite concerned that we have missed the point of Jesus's humanity, and that we're out of balance, and we have so focused on the God child part of this story, of the Christ manifest, that it seems to me that we have really made Jesus into something quite monstrous, or at least deceptive. And so I wanted to throw out some ideas to you. When the early churches tried to say something unique about Jesus, they tried to hold this thing in paradox, that he was fully divine and fully human. And we live in a time where the divinity aspect, the fully divine, has overshadowed in a large part the humanity part. And I think we're suffering for it. That in our technological era where we are caught up in global capitalism and world markets, international, transnational corporations, media age, technological age, that we are alienated or disconnected from this very concept of the humanity that connects us all, and I will argue, for which Christ calls us up into being fully human, fully ourselves, all that God made us to be. And so I'm troubled by this. I'll give you an example. When I ask people, how did Jesus heal? How did he do miracles? We believe that he did miracles. It's recorded in the gospel stories, the narratives that have come to us. How did Jesus do that? And almost across the board, somebody will say, he was God. That just comes a little too quickly. It's a little too simple. It comes too easily. So I've started asking some follow-up questions. One is, do you think Jesus was good at math? And people say, yeah, of course. And I say, how so? And I say, well, he was God. And God's perfect. So yeah, I suppose he was great at everything. Well, that's not really what it means to be human, is it? I mean, if that's true, then he didn't enter fully into humanity. So you start to run into a problem. So I ask another question, which is, do you think Jesus ever had diarrhea? And most people, if they're not initially sort of put off by the question, say, no. Really? You don't think his teeth hurt? No. Why? It was God. I'm like, oh, okay. So our conception of a perfect God has somehow made Jesus not human or less than human. So the last question I ask is, when Jesus met somebody, he interacted with somebody else, do you think that he knew everything about them, including their future? People say, yeah. How so? It was God. But you know, that's troubling, because that means that when Jesus, he never had a true encounter. He never had an actual human exchange with somebody, because he was always in that privileged position. So there's something about this that I think has made Jesus into, at minimum, it's sort of a Superman image, that he crashed into Earth as an alien, crashed in as a baby, and is powered by something, the yellow sun, that we all have access to, but which acts upon him and empowers him differently than it does us. So in that sense, Jesus isn't a superhero. To be fully divine and fully human, I don't know that that's the answer that we're looking for, is that Jesus was this superhuman type character. There's something missing in our understanding and our formulation there. And I think because we're so quick with the he was God, that it becomes a placeholder for which we're satisfied because we already have checked a box, and then we don't keep wrestling or processing the depth of what that concept is meant to call us unto. So, as I've wrestled with this, one of the things that has helped me out is to say, what if we say that Jesus was unique in history and actually worthy of worship and praise? If Jesus truly did say things like in John chapter 10, where he said, I and the Father are one. If you've seen the Father, you've seen me. If the baptism story of God saying, this is my Son, whom I love, and him I am well pleased. If Jesus points us as a sign, he's a sign, like a road sign that points us to a greater reality. What was that? And one of the people who's been really helpful for me in thinking this through has been John Cobb, who says some really interesting things about the incarnation. John Cobb says that what makes Jesus unique is twofold. One that we sort of have access to, and one that is truly particular. So the one we have access to is that Jesus was so open to the purposes of God in his life, that he was so aware of God's presence, that it actually comprised his very character. Because he would end up saying things like the John 10, that you and I will never say that I and the Father are one. That's not for us to say. That is unique. But how he gets there is by being fully human, but being open to the presence of the divine, the calling, you might say, in his life. What makes him the second tier, what makes him truly unique, is what he was called to. Because there have been other people throughout history, whether you say like a Mother Teresa or maybe a single mother in Guatemala, but there are people who have been open to their calling and aware of God's presence in their life in the way that Jesus was. This is part of what it means to be fully human, is to be open to participating in the divine presence. This is humanity in the world, that which makes us unique, compels us to serve not only our fellow humans, but all of creation. That there is something about the divine that we reflect to each other, the Imago Dei, the image of God. Jesus was aware of this in a way that comprised his character. And this calls to us who say that we follow Jesus or that we go by the name of Jesus as Christians, that we are invited to open ourselves to the divine presence in a way that begins to form our character. And this is why later in the epistles, it says that we are to be conformed to the image of Christ. It actually changes our character. We are formed and conformed as we are informed by this presence. And it's an amazing empowerment and an invitation to compel us to be a fuller version of ourselves and all that we were made to be. And we never get there if we just check the box by quickly saying, well, no, he was God. He would have been great at math. He would have known people's futures. His teeth wouldn't have ached. He was perfect. He was God. We never get there because it's too simple of an answer. What makes Jesus ultimately unique is what he was called to, and that was to be Messiah or Son of God, that his sonship truly sets him apart because of the time and history and the purpose for which he was called. But we all have callings. This is our ministry and our vocation. And so Jesus isn't other than human. He's not unhuman. He's not different than human or less than human. He's not superhuman. He models for us full humanity. And so that's what makes not only Jesus unique, but Christmas really special. And so as we go through this year, We're starting in the sermon series, Words Make Worlds. We're starting with the word human because I think that the complex web of what comprises full humanity is everything from our family of origin, our birth, our country, our language, our spirituality, our sexuality. All of these things comprise a complex web that fully fleshed out in a holistic and healthy way is the full humanity that participates and is open to the divine presence. Let me know if that is helpful to you. That has become sort of my entry point for Christology, my view on Christ, and it compels me to a fuller humanity. And so if that has been helpful to you, I would love to hear from you. If you have any questions or comments, please follow up.